The movie begins as Valerie Nguyen, a successful motivational speaker, addresses an audience on the negative voices in one's head. Her speech is engaging, empowering, and moving. She shares insights into her past struggles. She tells them that years ago, she used to live in her Toyota Camry and work in a Waffle House. But now, she is obviously doing better, and encourages others to do the same. At the end of her speech, the audience gives her a standing ovation, but her poise and choice of words suggest that all is not well with her. It turns out that Valerie, or Val, has a secret. She secretly struggles with a compulsive urge to scratch the back of her head. This behavior had intensified after the passing of her late mother years ago. Her mother's name was Chi, and she kicked the bucket during a traumatic boating accident many years prior. As Val prepares for an international tour, she discovers she needs her birth certificate. This poses a problem because Val is estranged from her family. The stress of this period triggers an intensified cycle of itching, and Val Googles for help and prescriptions. But the over-the-counter cream she applies does not help much. She begins to fuss and obsess over every little detail of production. Her husband, Robbie, is very supportive of her career and is even under her employ. He advises her to dial back on the fussiness, but she finds this a hard thing to do. On the day she plans to visit her estranged family, she decides to meditate a bit in order to maintain a calm mind, even in prospective emotionally charged situations. But her meditation session abruptly ends when she feels or sees multiple hands caressing her body in a malicious manner. When she travels back to her family home, she first meets with her Aunt Tui. Aunt Tui welcomes Val warmly, but does not have the birth certificate in her custody. Tui then suggests that Val should meet her father, Sang. But Val is not ready to face her pops, so she goes back home defeated. And of course, the head scratching continues. That night, the discussion between Val and Robbie reveals that Robbie has been wanting a child for so long. The couple are supposedly trying for a child, but the truth is, Val has been secretly taking birth control pills in order to prevent this. Perhaps it is the weight of this secret that bogs down on her, but she scratches to the point that makes Robbie really worried. Val tries to pacify him by stating that it's just an itch. She then goes down to their basement, where she uses a nail file to soothe the back of her head. She seems to revel in the temporary relief, even as the equipment causes her to bleed. The next morning, she bandages her head and covers the injury site with a beanie. She then reaches her doctor, who is displeased that she has kept her condition under wraps for 11 months. Val explains that she has been using corticosteroids to ease the itch, but that things have gotten out of control. She wants the doctor to prescribe stronger medicine over the phone, but he insists that she come down for a physical examination. Val does not listen to his advice. She then visits her father, Sang, who is a former soldier turned monk. Her relationship with him is strained due to past traumas, including her mother's passing and his history of addiction. As they sit for tea, they have a very tense conversation. A painting of an eerie figure on Sang's wall catches her attention. Sang states that it is a reminder of his past, and that it is called Sanchi, meaning hungry ghost or hungry parasite. He further explains that in great calamity, the Sanchi takes control of a human host and poisons them with insatiable urges. The host weakens and the Sanchi grows stronger, until one day the Sanchi consumes the host's body and soul. His words deeply affect Val, but she plays it off and demands her documents, which include the birth certificate. She tries to keep a cool demeanor, but her father notices that she is shaken. He leaves the room to get her some water, but Val uses the opportunity to steal the key to his unit in a storage facility. It is easy to find this key because, as a monk, her father is devoid of most earthly possessions, and his room is bare. She drives down to the storage facility and searches for the document. She finally finds her birth certificate, but has another weird encounter with Sanchi. She leaves the storage facility shaken, and her itch worsens. That night, as she is working in her basement, she stumbles upon pictures of her mother. When she looks closely at some pictures and uses a magnifying glass, she sees itch marks on her mother's limbs, and viewers can make out Sanchi's form in the background. During dinner, she is very irritable with her husband and has tense conversations with him. When he says he'd like her to patch things up with her dad so that their kids will know their grandfather, she goes off on him. When she goes to sleep, she secures mittens around her hands. But this doesn't work, as she wakes up with bloodied fingers and a bloodied head. Later that day, Val visits her aunt in order to make sense of what is happening to her. She asks about her mother's scars in the pictures, but Aunt Tui is reluctant to speak on this. When Val pleads and pleads, Tui manages to reveal that Val's mother, Chi, was a beautiful and strong woman, but that after the Vietnamese War, something strange and cursed took over her. Tui says she tried to save Chi, but all her efforts were rendered useless. Val urges Tui to keep talking, but Tui refuses because the memory is too painful for her. A perplexed Val goes straight for a photo shoot in order to promote her tour. But Sanchi reacts to the lighting and greatly disturbs her. Her odd behavior becomes extremely noticeable to her husband, who suggests to her personal assistant, Crystal, that the tour be called off. Crystal plays off the odd behavior as stress-induced. She then accuses Robbie of being intimidated by his strong, independent wife. Robbie is still concerned for Val's well-being and does not appreciate the development of things. In the night, Val tries to evade Robbie's concerns by sleeping with him. They are deeply immersed in their dance, but Sanchi gets in the way by piercing its fingers into Robbie's back, thereby injuring him. Val tries to play things off by saying that it is her overexcitement. She then begins to give him some mouth love down there, but Robbie loses his sense of ecstasy once he feels the gaping wound at the back of Val's head. He abruptly stops their session and tries to address the situation, but Val gets defensive. They get into a fight, forcing Robbie to sleep downstairs. Robbie has trouble sleeping because the unfinished action has left him unsatisfied. He goes to relieve himself in the bathroom. As he cleans up his seed and goes to dispose of it, he finds Val's discarded card of birth control pills. Meanwhile, Val constructs a means to bind her hands so that she doesn't itch while she sleeps, but she has terrifying nightmares as a result. The next morning, she finds that Robbie has discovered her secret pills and has stormed out of the house in anger. A frustrated Val succumbs to her bad habits of smoking cigarettes and eating gummy bears. Her father visits and finds her in this sorry state. The monk seems to be in withdrawal, and so Val does not take his warnings about Sanchi seriously. She chases him out of her house, but later confronts him at his own place. The monk has been using bad powder again, and Val threatens to expose him to the abbot if he doesn't tell her what he knows. Sang then admits to summoning the Sanchi during the Vietnam War and inadvertently passing it to Chi. He reveals that Chi attempted to drown Val as a child to prevent the Sanchi's spread, but Sang, who was desperate to save their daughter, offed Chi in the struggle. Val refuses to believe her father's story about Sanchi. She refuses to believe in demons and curses. She goes back home to her bad habits but receives a call from Crystal that she is to go live in 30 minutes. Backstage, she's rude to her assistants, and when she tries to patch things up with Robbie, he believes it's all an act. Val's condition deteriorates, culminating in a breakdown during a speaking engagement. She rushes to her father's home to tell him that she has seen Sanchi and that she believes him, but it's too late because her father has passed away. The stress of all these events strengthens Sanchi, and it forces her to bore a hole in her skull. She is hospitalized, and because of the damage to the left hemisphere of her brain, she loses use of the right side of her body. The doctors, of course, find a medical reason for her condition. Robbie stays by her side and takes care of her as she recovers gradually, but it is clear that he no longer trusts her. Val tries to make up for her wrongs towards Robbie. When she's physically strong enough, she prepares him a delicious dinner and apologizes to him for everything. But this is a ploy. She had earlier put a sedative in the food, so Robbie falls unconscious. By the time he wakes up, Val has tied him to the bed. She tries to make him stay comfortable while she figures out how to exorcise Sanchi. She sets the area with mirrors and incense and all the right markings. She summons Sanchi and asks what it wants from her. She pleads with it, saying that they could find an agreement that doesn't involve any of them kicking the bucket. She tries to reason with it by asking its desires. Sanchi responds that it wants all of her, piece by piece. Sanchi is not looking to negotiate. Val becomes angry and ultimately decides to take matters into her hands, literally. She sets out her equipment. She uses a table saw to cut off her and stops the bleeding by using a burner. But a physical manifestation of Sanchi mocks her by saying even if she cuts off her hands, it has other ways of using her, including but not limited to bashing out her brain and biting off her tongue. Sanchi gives a long list of the messed up ways it could take her life, and Valerie has had enough. She tricks it and cuts off its own hand with the same saw she used on herself. Then she injures its face and cuts its head open. Just when she thinks Sanchi is defeated, it puts itself back together again. But Valerie is determined to win. The creature taunts her even more. It asks her why she fights. It says that no one can help her, just as she couldn't save her parents. It claims it is a part of her and then urges her to end her life. To this, Val replies that there is no escape for either of them. She finds great strength within herself and pulls Sanchi into the pool, with the intention of drowning it. Meanwhile, the sounds of her agony and struggling motivate Robbie to find inventive ways to free himself. He jumps into the water just in time and rescues her. As they emerge, she holds a diminished, fetal-like version of the Sanchi, symbolizing her confrontation with her inner demons. Robbie sees this, and it is suggested that he now has a better understanding of his wife's suffering. Some weeks later, Val reveals to Robbie that she's pregnant. The film concludes with Val holding her toddler. Her severed hand has been fixed, and they seem happy. However, a strange bug perches on the child's face, suggesting that the Sanchi's influence may still persist, leaving the ending ambiguous.